Hey everybody, Mike B here with another video. Today we're going to be doing a top 5 video, which I haven't done one of those in a while. But it's going to be kind of addressing, it's going to be a fun little video addressing a question that I get pretty regularly in the comments, and that is, what is the best deal you've ever gotten on a military surplus firearm? Now, I've been collecting for around 20 years, and although there are still deals to be had, I've had some real doozies come through. And I don't still have necessarily all those firearms, but the ones that I do are really cool, and I did get really good deals on them, and they have pretty decent stories attached to them. So, without further ado, we're going to go to the top 5 deals I've ever gotten on military surplus firearms. So number 5 on the list is actually going to be my trusty little SG Saginaw M1 Carbine. This is a cool story, and I got a hell of a deal on it even for that time, which was a few years ago. So it's in a nice, it's a CMP rework, it's got the bayonet lug, the adjustable rear sight. I put the stock pouch on. It's pretty fun. It actually works pretty well. I see why those guys did that. Anyway, so it was like 2014, and I did not have an M1 Carbine in my collection. I really wanted one. What I did have in my collection was a laminate stock Mosin Nagant PU sniper rifle that I had gotten probably the year before that, or right around this time in 2013 to 2014. And they still had them in stock, so I got a laminate stocked one because I thought they were cool. Ended up getting it, and it wasn't really my cup of tea. I don't know why that particular rifle, because I've since got another PU, and that one was awesome and spoke to me. That one just didn't speak to me. So I saw a listing, or an ad, or a post, whatever you want to call it, a thread on gun boards, on the trader board, that said this guy wanted to get a PU sniper because they had sold out. That batch that I got them from had sold out, and they were hard to get. The prices were skyrocketing, and people wanted them, and they missed out. And so there was an ad, and this guy he said, I have SG Saginaw CMP M1 Carbine up for trade, for partial trade or whatever, for a PU sniper. And I said, this could not be more perfect. So I messaged him, I posted, I said, hey, I'm going to send you a PM. I sent him a message and said, hey, I've got this laminate stock PU sniper. I got it last year, blah, blah, blah. Would you be willing to do at least a partial trade? He goes, I'd be willing to do a flat trade, like this M1 Carbine, for that PU sniper. And since I had only paid, I think $500 or $550 for that PU sniper, I said, yeah, let's get it done right now. And I sent him my CNR, we got that done. And we sent each other the rifles, we were both really happy. So I ended up with a nice M1 Carbine that I absolutely love. I've shot the piss out of this thing. It's really accurate, really fun to shoot. And I'm so glad to have it in the collection, and it's probably never going to leave my collection unless it's this or a roof over my head, which hopefully will never get there. Anyway, so that's a little story, kind of the background on this little guy. But yeah, so $550 plus, I think, I don't know, 20 bucks for shipping or 30 bucks for shipping that. So less than $600 I got this nice CMP M1 Carbine for in 2014, which was a really good price thing, because like I said, I think they were going for like $800-900 bucks for a crappier grade one than this. So number 5 on the list is my M1 Carbine. Number 4 on the list is my Lebel 1886-93 rifle. So this was one that I'm very glad I got when I did, and this was around the same time. I want to say it was 2014-ish, somewhere around there, or 15. Could have been early 15. I don't remember. Anyway, so I had been looking for one of these forever, and they were like $8, $9, even $1,000 back then, because they were in video games. They were getting really popular, like with Verdun. Everybody wanted this, and then there's certain gun channels that promote the shit out of French firearms, so they get popular after being made fun of for so many years. Not naming any names. Anyway, so yeah, I was perusing the gun dealers, like Gun Broker and everything like that, and these things, if they were listed, they would sell immediately or sell for way out of my price range. So one day, I actually got an email, because I'm on Empire Arms mailing list, the Dennis Crow. I've talked about him before. And this thing popped up in one of the new stuff newsletters, which if you're not signed up, you should probably be there. And you get a lot of really cool stuff, and it goes really quick. Anyway, so that email came through, and there was this rifle for $425. And I said, okay, what's wrong with it? And I looked, and what had happened was somebody tried to take this barrel off at some point, right? And it didn't go well, so it kind of marred the shit out of the barrel. But that's an aesthetic feature that does not concern me at all. The rest of the rifle is all matching. It is in great shape. The bore was in good shape. And for $425, I said, yeah, it's mine. I have to get it. And so my credit card had gotten locked or something like that. Anyway, there was a problem with it. So I sent him an email and he said, hey, there's an issue with this. Do you still want it? Because, you've got other people in line. You got to it first, but if you can't be doing this, like, if you don't want to do this or it's not going to work, like, just let me know. I said, okay, I'll make sure it works. I called the bank, got that squared away, and he was nice enough to hold it. He was on the honor system that I had actually gotten it first. And so, yeah, we worked that kink out, and he got paid. He sent this out, and then I got this rifle, and the rest is history. This thing is awesome. I need to go make another shooting video with this. I haven't made one since around the time that I got it, and this particular rifle is insanely accurate and really fun to shoot. Action works great. This thing is just fantastic. I cannot say enough about this particular rifle, and that was a really good deal even in 2014-ish or 2015-ish. So thanks again, Dennis. I'll never forget that whole little thing and the fact that I was able to get one of these rifles before they are unobtainium now and $1,500. So yeah, number 4 on the list is the 1886-93. So number 3 on the list is a really weird one. So this is an M1938 Italian Carcano cavalry carbine. And this actually belonged to my great uncle back in the day. And I had purchased the next firearm, which I'll be talking about, from him. And we were up at his house one day, and this thing was sitting in the corner. I said, hey, what is that? And he goes, oh, it's an Italian rifle. I said, oh, okay, cool. Would you be willing to sell that? He goes, just take it. And I said, okay, that's, really? He goes, yeah, you can have it. I haven't fired it. I'm probably not going to. And I was thinking, man, this is going to make a great brush gun for deer hunting. Couldn't find ammo for it, which sucked at the time, but that was besides the point. But anything free is worth saving up for, right? If you get that reference, please put it in the comments. It's a very niche thing. But yeah, and so the only thing that was wrong with it was it had a straight bolt in it, like a rifle bolt. And so I actually, again, on gun boards, I said, once I got in there, it was in there for years. It was really tight. It didn't work well. It didn't fit. Obviously, it's not the case anymore. But on gun boards, there was a guy who had a carbine bolt in his rifle and it wasn't working well. And I made a post, just a Hail Mary. This is where gun boards used to be so fun like this. I just did a Hail Mary. I'm like, hey, I've got a Carcano straight bolt that I would like to just straight up trade for a carbine bolt to go on my M38 Cav carbine. And this guy said, that's so weird because I'm in the reverse situation of you. I need a straight bolt and I want to get rid of this cavalry or the carbine bolt. And so we started messaging and we just did a trade. I think it was like $4 to send this to each other. So basically I paid $4 for this rifle if you really want to get technical. And I helped somebody else complete their rifle. They helped me complete this. It strengthened the gun community. It's very fun. It's just a nice rifle. I have fired this. It does shoot fairly well. There's a little bit more kick on the carbines if you've ever shot a Carcano carbine. But yeah, it was super nice of him to do that because he didn't know really what it was, and I think the bolt thing, whatever. So yeah, about $4 for this Carcano, which is pretty damn good if you ask me. It's a pretty good deal. Although the market's kind of flooded with them nowadays and they're still relatively cheap, I thought this was a pretty good deal. So it was this and the next one were contenders for second and third place, but they're somewhat interchangeable. Anyway, we'll move on from here. Number 2 on the list, you guys have probably seen this before in my videos. If you're new to the channel and you haven't, welcome. And I'll tell you this little story about this bad boy. So this was the first firearm I ever owned. I didn't technically own it, my dad did, but because I was 12. But yeah, my great uncle who I was just telling you about gave me that cavalry carbine. This is also back in like the early 2000s, I forgot to mention. So surplus guns were cheap, but they weren't as cheap as I got this for and that one for, which is free. And so, yeah, right before that whole thing happened with the Carcano, I had been wanting this thing for years. I had seen it on my great uncle's wall, and I was like, oh man, if you ever go to sell these things, I really want to have first dibs at that. And then one year, they were kind of short on money, and he said, well, how about this? I'll sell it to you for $40. And to me at that time, as a 12-year-old, that's a decent amount of money, but it's not impossible to earn that. So I worked my butt off doing odd jobs around the neighborhood and stuff, and with my parents, like extra work that they paid me a little bit. I ended up getting $40 together and ended up buying this. So this was a $40 rifle that I was not able to shoot for almost, I think, 7 years, because I couldn't find ammo for it and didn't have the money to afford, $2 around, $3 around. But yeah, after I got back from my deployment, I had a few extra bucks, and I found a couple boxes at a gun show somebody had. And so, yeah, I ended up firing this thing and realized how freaking awesome it was and how accurate it is. And yeah, it's in great shape. It's just there's nothing special about it, really. It's just a rifle that I'm literally never going to get rid of. Even though it's just a Type 99, just standard, nothing special at all, it's got a hell of a lot of sentimental value to me. So this will be something that will be passed down to my children and hopefully stays in the family. So anyway, this is number 2 on the list. It was kind of hard to tell which one, but I mean, $40 for an Arisaka and, you know, the cavalry carbine being free. I don't know, you choose which you would have put in second or third. This is the way I'm doing it for the sake of the video. But I mean, even back in the early 2000s, $40 for a Type 99 was a steal. So yeah, I really appreciate him doing that, and he's the one that got me, you know, absolutely hooked on surplus firearms. I was hook, line, and sinker because he liked them, he enjoyed them, it was a hobby of his, and that's what really got me into liking this, was this rifle. And then the subsequent carbine, cavalry carbine, and then it was just downhill from there. So, awesome stuff. Now, we're going to move on to our first, the number 1 deal I've ever gotten in military surplus. Before we get there, though, I'm going to do an honorable mention that you might not expect. I didn't know if this would technically fit, but it's not a firearm, per se, but it's similar, and it was one of the best deals I've ever gotten on anything, and I should have bought a lot more of them. I know everybody says that, but I could actually afford it at this point. It's this German Cold War era, post-World War II, of course, Gecko flare gun. It's all steel, and then you got the plastic handles and stuff, plastic grips, and I gotta clean this thing. I haven't cleaned it in years. Anyway, so this is a 26.5 millimeter flare gun, designed, basically it's an LP-42 clone, just made post-war, right? And these things work great. They're one of the best flare gun designs ever made, and I paid $36 for this. I ended up getting 2 of them, but I gave one to my dad because he goes to Canada every year on a fishing trip, and it's nice for him to be out in the middle of a giant lake with a signal device. So, and you can actually, from what I know, this is a signaling device, so that's why he's never had any problems with it at the border. So, anyway, yeah, it fires these cool 26.5 millimeter flares. This is blue smoke, and yeah, you just pop it open like that. Woo! Pull the hammer back, and it's a it's a pretty heavy hammer. Pop that thing, and then yeah, I've shot this thing, and it's really fun. But the flares are so damn expensive now. They didn't used to be that expensive, but yeah, it's a really cool thing, and I only paid $36 for it. And right after that place sold out, it's a very small niche place. Right after that sold out, these things were like over $100, and then now they're 150 to 200 if they're in good shape like this. So yeah, that's the honorable mention. That was around 2013 or 2014. I think it was 2014 as well. So that wasn't that long ago, and this was also a really good deal at the time even. A lot of people bought these and resold them. I didn't have that much money, so I only got 2. I should have allocated money that I spent on other dumb shit to buy more of these. That's honestly just one of the regrettable things. These are so cool. Anyway, so that's the honorable mention. Now we'll move on to number 1. All right, number 1 for me for the best deal I've ever gotten on a military surplus firearm is going to be on my GU98. Gewehr 98. Haha. Fun. A joke never gets old. Anyway, so this thing is awesome. It's a 1916 Spandau. Nothing really special about it. However, it was like 2012, the end of 2012, and I wanted a Gewehr 98 really bad, but I had a Turkish one that was sent to the Turks and all that stuff, but I wanted an actual non-messed with German one. So there was this guy that was, again, on gun boards. So a lot of these deals back in the day, it was so fun dealing with people and getting things like this, because this guy he had a bunch of just random Mausers laying around, and he didn't live that far from me, but we still had to ship things. He had a bunch of random Mausers in parts, like they were all disassembled, and he's like, hey, I've got a 1916 Spandau Gewehr 98. I don't know how much. I'd rather trade for it. I don't really want to sell it. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you want for it? And he goes, how about a crate of 7.6254 surplus ammo, which at that point was $160 shipped. And I said, so if I have a crate of ammo shipped to your house, you will send me this Gewehr 98. And he says, yeah, it's in pieces though. And I'm like, I don't care. It's a Mauser 98. It's easy to put together. So yeah, I ended up paying $160 for a Gewehr 98, which at that time they were even going for $500 to $600 for a decent example. So this is also one of my favorite rifles because I always love the Langefizierer sights. I don't know why, they're just really neat. I'm really glad I got it too at that point, because then again, Battlefield 1 comes out, all these, Verdun video games, and kids start getting into these, and they got really expensive, and they're really expensive now. So I'm glad I have one example in the collection that's original World War I example. forgot if this matched. No, the bolt is mismatched. What's very interesting about this one too is it had a serial number carved into the floor plate at one point. Got a little patina on there. I should probably take care of that. Anyway, so this was brought back by a World War I veteran. So the guy's serial number underneath, or it was a World War I veteran that bought this and just carved his serial number in here. It is a pre-68 import if it was imported because there's no import mark on it, which is really cool. I think I'm inclined to believe that it was a vet bring back for hunting or something like that after the First World War. So anyway, that's all I've got for my top 5. This video is not really meant to be bragging and stuff. It's just kind of nostalgic. You know, in the past it was a lot different. I know I've made videos on the why I think the actual hobby that I used to know is dead. But that doesn't mean that the guns aren't still out there. They're just very expensive nowadays. And the deals like that, like $160 that somebody's gonna be willing to just trade a, because I mean he probably paid like $40 back in the day when they were in barrels and stuff. And if you wanted ammo, hey, that's fine with me. But I think those days are kind of over of getting insanely wicked deals like that anymore. But it was fun while it lasted. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed kind of learning a little bit about the stories of my collection. It's that's why I like collecting stuff, is you get a story. The hunt is the most fun. When you own it, it's awesome because you get to tangibly hold it and everything, but the hunt is always the best part, and you get to tell stories like this even years after, because that's how I remember everything so well, is because it was so fun. So anyway, that's all I've got. If you enjoyed this, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. We're almost to 100,000. If you're watching this and we're over 100,000, that's awesome. Thank you. Anyway, yeah, like and subscribe and do all that stuff. Let me know what you think down in the comments. What was your favorite one? What did you think was the best deal? Did I get them in the wrong order? Because I think they were all pretty even. It was very hard. I don't think the order necessarily is going to matter. But anyway, so if you did like this content, you can feel free to check out my Patreon. That link is in the description. I do podcasts on there, and I do exclusive stuff on there. And $5 a month or more gets into my Discord and podcast access and all that stuff. So yeah, if you want to support my work, you think it's cool, my other videos, this stuff was cool, that would be awesome. You can also become a YouTube channel member by hitting the join button down below if you so choose to go that route. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, everybody, and we'll see you on the next video.